Good morning and welcome to our daily devotional from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn. Very glad to have you with us on this Wednesday morning, January the 28th, 2026. And this week we're studying the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5. And you may want to look up on Facebook or YouTube the Bible study that we did last night, because there I talk a lot about what a beatitude is. And this morning I'm going to have us focus on three of the beatitudes in verses 4, 5, and 6 of Matthew chapter 5. So I'll read those, offer some reflections, and then close us with prayer. So Matthew 5, verses 4, 5, and 6. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. I talked a good bit last night about how Matthew is concerned to establish the authority of Jesus. And he does this in the entire book with a lot of parallels with Moses. And here we have some very significant parallels with the Old Testament. In verse 4, this idea of blessed are those who mourn, this is a reference to those places in the Old Testament text where there is mourning and lamentation over the state of the people of God, that is, mourning for the condition and the state of God's people, that the people have fallen short, that they've turned away from God, and that this is a blessing for those who mourn that state. It's also, you'll recall, consistent with the Old Testament in that the promise and the hope of the Old Testament in many places consist of a comfort, a promise of comfort. And here that is echoed in this beatitude. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek. This is, in verse 5, this is, I think meek is a synonym here for the poor in spirit. That is, it is a reflection of the reversal of values, that this is a kingdom in which gentleness is extolled rather than violence or force. And this is very closely associated with the promise of the inheritance of the land in the Old Testament, of Canaan. And here it's turned into an eschatological promise. That is, this is a promise of the value of the ultimate value of life, and it is the meek who inherit the transformed earth. That is, a world that is transformed by the gentle love of God. And then finally, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. There is again here both the context of hunger, that is real hunger for food and for water, but also an emphasis on the ethical life, the life of righteousness. And this should not be read as, longing to be a good person necessarily. This is more about the nature of God and the nature of our relationship to God. That is, it's not, you need to hunger for righteousness, but rather it's that this is who we are. It's not like an option for us, that this is who we are as the blessed children of God, and that we will be filled in the promise of the coming kingdom of heaven. So powerful words, not as I talked about last night, not as advice for living, but actually reflective of the reality of God and our relationship to God, to be those who mourn for the state of the world, those who operate in gentleness in our communities, and those who are in a perpetual state of hungering and thirsting for righteousness. Let's close with this word of prayer from W.E. Orchard. O God, the author of all joy and the ground of all gladness, we thank thee that life is to be crowned at last with song. Sometimes we find it hard to believe that when the world began, the children of God shouted for joy. So mournful and painful has proved the course of the world, and harder still to believe that the song of the redeemed shall overwhelm in its richness and beauty the song of the unsinning angels. We thank thee that above the sounds of strife and pain sometimes there break strains as of an army marching in triumph, and even our greatest sadness finds a setting in some old sweet song. And because of this we wait, while the harmonies gather out of seeming discord. So we bring our broken lives to thee and pray thee, O divine musician, win from us some mighty strain. Tune us to the harmony of thy will. Make all our lives a hymn of praise. Amen. Thank you for joining me this morning from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn, and I hope that you have a very good day. Goodbye.